Well, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you happen to be around the world. Welcome to another Office Hours here on Hosting.com's Agency Success. My name is Nathan Ingram. I'm the agency trainer here for Hosting.com, and so glad to be with you here again for another Thursday of your questions and answers. We were chatting briefly in the pre-show about last week's Office Hours, which was much more of an interview than a Q&A. So we kind of broke out of our regular rhythm here to bring in Hans from Termageddon to talk about this very important issue called SIPA, the California Invasion of Privacy Act, and how it's impacting clients who simply have Google Analytics or other types of advertising tracking pixels on their website. So I would strongly recommend, if you haven't watched that, to go and look at the Office Hours channel on Hosting.com's YouTube channel. The Office Hours playlist, and you'll find that replay there. Highly recommended that you get up to speed on this issue if you're not already. Now, I want to get started by bringing in Chad Beatty. Chad, I just promoted you to a panelist. Here he is. Hey, Chad, how's it going?
There we go. Am I coming through?
You are
my little microphone
through.
thing. Wonderful. Well, thanks for having me. I'm Chad.
So Chad, we wanted to take a minute just to introduce everybody here to you. So tell folks what you do at rocket.net, what your role is, and how you typically help agencies.
Yeah. So I guess I've spent my entire professional career in the hosting space. I started out as a level 1 tech answering phones at A2 Hosting, and that was, oh gosh, back in 2010. I've kind of hung around here ever since. So I started out with that. I moved my way up to customer service management training and fell into sales somehow. Still not entirely sure how that happened. But that's basically what I do for Rocket at the moment. I've been with Rocket since, 2022. We wear a lot of hats. It's a small team, so we all do what's necessary to make sure that we take care of our customers. So sometimes I've got to figure out how to do an old support thing again. And most of the time, I try and tailor solutions to our clients and get them what they actually need. So that's kind of my day to day. I just try and help people find what they need. I put solutions together and make sure sites are fast. So that's pretty much what I do, but I'm a helping hand. So if anybody does have any hosting questions, I'm here to help.
Yeah, that's great. And so folks, the reason I brought Chad in today was just so you could put a name with a face and see there's a human being here who is ready to help you. If you want to just dip your toe into what does rocket.net look like? How does the dashboard work? You can schedule a demo with Chad. He can walk you through that. He'll answer all your questions. As you can see just by talking to him here, he's not going to twist your arm and bring a bunch of pressure. He wants to help.
I don't have enough time for it.
So, Chad, if somebody wants to explore Rocket with you, how's the best way to do that?
You know what? Email is probably the most approachable way here, so I can be reached. I'm looking for the chat button again. Sorry about my phone here, but where'd chat go? And we also have, if you go to rocket.net, there's a schedule a demo link right up there, and we can hop on Zoom and screen share and all that fun stuff. And I'm happy to coordinate that kind of thing via email as well.
Got it. Folks, I'm going to drop that into the everyone chat. It's hard on a phone, especially to see, but Chad, you just sent that to me.
Yeah,
so we'll send that to everybody.
Okay, fair enough.
So there you go, chad.beatty@rocket.net. And I just encourage you, if you're just curious about rocket.net and the speed and everything's handled for you, it's an incredibly powerful platform. It's running on Cloudflare Enterprise, which, we talk about Chad. If you hang around here today, there's probably going to be at least one question about Cloudflare and rules and settings, and all that's just handled for you by Rocket, right?
That's the beauty of it. We have control of all the knobs and switches, and the idea behind the platform is you drop the site files in, you drop the database in, which our team will do for you. You point the DNS, and you're done. You don't even need a Cloudflare account, though. If you want to use it for DNS, that's just fine. But you don't need to actually tweak and configure Cloudflare. It's just done.
Yeah. Well, Chad, thanks so much for
my pleasure. Thank you,
folks. If you have questions for Chad about Rocket, just use the Zoom chat, and Chad can answer your questions right there throughout. Thanks again, Chad.
Thank you. You too. Bye for now.
So let's get talking about a few items of WordPress news before we dive into your questions. Again, if you have a question to ask, the link to do so is there in the chat waiting on you. Let's start talking a little bit about WordPress 7.0. It's a huge release that is planned out for final release on, there it is, April the 9th. So we're still a couple of months away, but the first beta version dropped last week. Beta 2 actually dropped today. So there are some really important features in WordPress 7 that if you haven't seen this yet, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. So just a few things that we'll actually take a look at WordPress 7 in a WordPress Playground instance, but you can install the WordPress beta tester plugin by my buddy Andy Fragan, and you can install WordPress 7 on an actual WordPress site. Don't do it on like a real production website. Obviously, it's beta 1. But you can do that, or you can just play around with it in a Playground instance. But a few interesting features that I want to show you here in this post, and I'm going to drop this link in the chat if anybody wants to reference this later. The real-time collaboration features are coming in WordPress 7.0. Now, what that means is if you're using blocks and the site editor, or just blocks, you'll be able to edit the same page or post with somebody else at the same time. You'll be able to communicate with block-based comments, which is pretty darn cool. Now, if you're using a page builder of any kind, this isn't going to work, right? Because it's based around WordPress blocks. So there you go. They're also adding notes, real-time note syncing that will help with collaboration. Pretty cool. There is some significant refinement to the WordPress admin experience. It still kind of looks the same, but it's just smoother. And I'll show you that in a minute when we do a quick demo. There's a number of different updates to blocks and patterns. I'm going to scroll through a lot of this. There's some new blocks that are coming. There's a ton of things under the hood, just a ton of things. The most significant, in my opinion, being the AI connectors, which I'll show you in the Playground in just a minute. Now, something else that we really haven't talked about much is this new thing that's media processing in the browser. And so what WordPress 7 is going to do is offload some of the processing of images to the browser itself. So when you go to upload a file, let's just say, I mean, I'm sure none of you would do this, but you might have a client who's going to upload a 40 megapixel camera, raw, whatever image, gigantic thing. And it just kills you, right? It takes forever to upload and so forth. So what's going to happen is WordPress will instruct the browser to downsize it to WordPress max size, which is like 2560 by whatever it is. And so that's actually it offloads that from the server to the browser. So the image that actually gets uploaded is appropriately sized for your max image size. So what it saves bandwidth, it saves server processing. Now, it will not impact if you have, as I understand it, it will not impact if you have plugin-based image optimizers like eDub or ShortPixel or some of these things. They'll still kick off. They're still going to get that file handed to them. It's just that the giant, massive files on your desktop, that's not going to be what's uploaded to your server. It'll be a scaled down version. And in fact, files right now, like the AVIF files that you can't upload to WordPress, as I understand it, you'll be able to do that, and the browser will convert it to a JPEG or something else to hit WordPress. So it's going to make image processing a little better, which is kind of cool. So let's see. I want to go here because this post, let me drop this in the chat. This has the link to open the Playground instance using WordPress 7.0 Beta 2. So we're going to, okay, here we are. So we are now in WordPress 7 here in our browser in a Playground instance. Isn't that cool? So we are using 7.0 Beta 2. And you'll probably notice that it looks a little different. Can you see the difference? It's a little darker. It's a little crisper. Some things going on here. But watch this. When I go over here to click on settings, did you see that? It's a lot faster. And look at the fade in. Now, it was just fading in, no big deal. What's happening here is, notice the URL. The URL is not changing. These are pages updating the content with an Ajax type approach where it's not having to actually force a page refresh. What this will mean is admin ought to start clicking along a lot quicker. So we'll see how this is all implemented. Again, we're at beta 2. There's still 2 months more of development going, but this is pretty cool. I had kind of hoped for a visual refresh of the WordPress admin, but I'll take it. However, I want you to see a few things. Look right here. There's a new item under settings called connectors. Are you ready? Drum roll, please. Boom. Look at this. Here's where you can connect your OpenAI, Claude, or Gemini API key directly to WordPress and start doing things inside of WordPress. I've just, I saw this an hour ago, so I haven't had time to play with it yet. But yeah, this is pretty darn cool. So that's coming in WordPress 7. Are you excited? Sue, does it disconnect? No. This is, you are connecting WordPress with an API key to your OpenAI. So this is, again, this is not ChatGPT. This is OpenAI, and it's going to connect with an API key. So it stays connected. And I'm sure there's going to be settings or something to restrict who can use this and so forth. But again, I saw this an hour ago for the first time, so I haven't really explored much, but pretty darn cool. Yeah. And so, yeah, Melanie, like, is there security implications, hackers getting access? I don't know. There are clever people on the WordPress side too that I'm sure have thought through these issues. And honestly, if somebody gets control of your WordPress admin, this may be one of your least concerns. Anyway, so WordPress 7 set to be released April the 9th, so still a couple of months away. Pretty interesting, right? Give it a try, play around, and see what you can break in WordPress 7. All right, something else I want to make you aware of if you didn't see this already. WordPress VIP, which is the team at WordPress.com that handles enterprise-level clients. They have created an advanced professional WordPress developer certification. Now, that's a mouthful, but it's the first certification that's ever been like an official thing through Automatic or WordPress or whatever. So they say it's a new industry standard. So whatever. Interesting. 120-minute long test, $250, and they do give you study resources. So could be worth getting a little badge. Look at that. A little badge for your website. Pretty interesting. So give that a look and see what you think. All right, here's a blog post from Matt Mullenweg on WordPress.org. So you may remember from the large Project Gutenberg set of objectives from many years ago. One of the objectives was to deal with translations inside of core. So, and that's a very important thing, right? WordPress is a global tool, and we need to deal with translations somehow because, my goodness, translations, if you've ever tried to do translations in WordPress, it can make you hate WordPress forever. And even the best tools are generously described as clunky, right? So what Matt Mullenweg is saying is, look, okay, full stop. AI is doing so many things. LLMs and the power of LLMs has so increased in the last year, and who knows what's going to happen in the next year. We're going to take a look and see about getting some help from people like Google and others to bring in and do translation, maybe like as part of core, and you're using an LLM to make decent translations. I don't know if you've tried using your favorite AI tool to do translation. It's pretty good. Like it's pretty good. So we'll have to see what happens here. So the translations piece of Project Gutenberg is officially on hold for now. Okay. Here is an interesting little survey if you'd like to take part in these. I usually do because I like to see the results. Elementor has a State of the Agency 2026 poll. The link for that is in the chat. take it, share some information, answer the questions. It'll be an interesting set of results, I think. Okay. I don't often promote AppSumo tools here, but this one I will. We've talked a little while back about a neat little tool called WhisperFlow that is like an AI dictation tool, and it's spectacular, off the charts, and it's only about $12 a month. Here's a lifetime deal on something called Voice Dash that is 95% as good as WhisperFlow. It's a little like half a second slower, maybe a second or two slower, depending on the length of your dictation, but it's pretty good. And it's like $50 for a lifetime deal. I would suggest if you're an AppSumo person, try it and see what you think. It's kind of neat. Okay. Another little bit that I will mention, Cloudflare, Cloudflare has this ongoing war with AI. Well, they've also introduced this new little feature called Markdown for Agents. And this is an interesting tool because what they're saying they can do is take any page, and if the requester AI agent asks, they can translate that to Markdown. Now, Markdown is, let's see if it gives me an example here. I think it will. Well, it's the Wikipedia page. Anyway, what Markdown, if you're not familiar with Markdown, yeah, here we go. So Markdown is a structured language like this that, these are bullets, these are bullets, this sort of thing. Anyway, Markdown lets you sort of describe the semantic layout of a page without having to use HTML. So see how much less text this is than this? And when you look at a whole page, having an LLM trying to translate HTML is much, much less efficient than if you just hand the LLM a markdown file, which gives it all the semantic for headings and markups and bullets that it needs, but without having to parse the HTML. So LLMs, long story short, love Markdown. It's the way that's their preferred way to digest information. And so Cloudflare is saying, hey, we can hand them we can hand LLMs Markdown pages just at our network level, supposedly an 80% reduction in token usage. It's pretty cool. So Chad, you're saying that the Markdown feature has been enabled platform-wide with Rocket.net. This is pretty interesting. So investigate that if you dig into your own Cloudflare settings. But even if you aren't on Cloudflare, our buddy Yoast has created a plugin called Markdown for Agents. It lives here on this GitHub repo. And what this will do is it will take any URL, you just add .md at the end, and it delivers it in Markdown. That's pretty cool. So this is a WordPress plugin that just does it. So give this a look. It is, of course, it's GitHub, but it is from a known, trusted author. Progress Planner is one of Yoast's products. You can download the zip here, put it in there, see what happens. We've installed it on a couple of sites and just kind of watching to see if our LLM traffic ramps up any. Kind of cool. All right, one final thing I'll share with you that I think is the funniest graphic of the week, and that is this. I just like this. This made me laugh out loud the first time I saw it. Yeah. Okay. Quick note of other upcoming things here at hosting.com before we dive into your questions. Next, well, let's see, actually in a couple of weeks, a week from Tuesday. Yes, a week from this coming Tuesday, we'll be talking about dialing in your pricing. I'll be giving you some thoughts on how to structure pricing in your agency. That should be a fun one because pricing is one of those things we all, no matter how long you've been in it, we can all use some encouragement to sharpen up our pricing. Second of all, this is a fun one. March 24th, I'll be talking about or giving you a framework for how to rewrite your website in an hour using your favorite AI tool. So those are coming up. If you hadn't signed up for those, do that. And the links for all of these things, I'm going to drop in the chat here. And you can grab all of the upcoming live streams at upcoming.myagencysuccess.com. All right, let's take a look at some questions. Looks like we currently have 13 questions in the queue. And if you have a question to ask, the link is there waiting on you in the chat. We will start with the first question from Beth Livingston. I don't see Beth in the chat today, but we shall endeavor to answer. Beth says, I had a site, firstsite.com, and then rebranded to an entirely new URL, secondsite.com. First Site has redirects set from the home page to Second Site and has for several months now. Should I set First Site to discourage search engines from indexing to avoid duplicate content issues? Okay, so Beth, I know you're not here, but there's a couple of key questions to answer. And the first is, did you only redirect the home page? Because if you did, that's probably not the best way to have done it. Hopefully you didn't do that. Like the way to do this would be to set up a wildcard redirect so that, what at firstsite.com/whatever gets redirected to site 2/ that same whatever. So you can do that in htaccess, and you can, your favorite AI tool can help you generate some markup for the htaccess file to do that redirection. Or you can even do it in a Cloudflare rule or whatever. However, if it's been several months, I would just say kill site 1. Why is it there anymore? Google has likely already picked up on it. The way to check that is you can do site2.com or here wpnathan.com. Just doing site : and a domain name is going to tell you all of the pages on that site that Google has indexed. And so you can check it and just see. You can also see it in Google Search Console if you have that set up. But this is the easiest way, quick way to see if Google has indexed all of that. So yeah, kill it. As I recall, we've talked about this issue before, Beth, and the First Site wasn't around for that long anyway. So I really wouldn't worry about it. You're probably okay. All right, next in the list is Awesome Paul. Hey, Paul. Oh, yes. Okay. Gmailify is shutting down. Checking email from other accounts, fetching email from third-party accounts to your Google Gmail account with POP no longer supported. Yeah, they announced that last year. I didn't know anybody was still doing this anymore. POP has inherent issues for the web in 2026. It applies to IMAP. It basically, Google is getting rid, or actually, I think they already have sunsetted the ability where Gmail used to be able to go pull mail from another account. Yeah, and so that's not going to be available anymore. I think they're just trying to simplify Gmail, and I would imagine the processing power that's needed to do that, like the juice isn't worth the squeeze. It's not making Google any money to do that, and so they're eliminating those things. So what do you do instead? You could still forward probably email from that other email address out there into Google. But yeah, you wouldn't be able to send as anymore. That feature of send as is, I believe, part of this shutdown. So, yep. Elizabeth is suggesting Proton Mail that allows pull. This is a kind of feature, though, folks, I would say is likely on the way out across the board. I mean, think about it. It doesn't really, like, what does it do? This service, what does it do for the provider? It's not really helping them. So Davud says he was able to add a send as address just last week. Okay, so my understanding is this is all wrapped up. Maybe, well, it's also possible I could be wrong about that, as always, but it may be that just hasn't hit your account yet, Davud. So Paul, I don't know if that helps. That's a feature of the old web that I don't think is going to be around anymore across the board after a little while. Okay, next up is Jamie. Hey, Jamie. Any recommendations on how to cut down the number of unsolicited text messages? Oh my goodness. Yes. Hiring for farm out services for your, at least one a day, text messages, emails. I'm getting those too. I think, okay, quick poll in the chat. Who else is getting these? Probably a lot of you are. Oh my. Yes. I also get at least once a day now spam about We'll give your business funding, an unsecured loan, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, working capital. Thank you, Melody. Melody, that's exactly what I was talking about. And, you know, I'm on somebody's list, and there's really, I thought about trying to create a filter to try to grab some of these, but who knows if it's going to grab a legitimate email. I just delete them. It's a really bit of annoying messaging that comes through every day. It's spam and text. I get them too, and I don't know what to do about it. Um, Elizabeth saying Proton now lets you block them. Most providers let you block them. Google accounts let you block them. The problem is you're blocking a domain name, and they're just going to send from a different domain name, right? It's just a lot of times the domain names that I see coming through are have nothing to do at all with financial whatever or house office cleaning services is another big one. Um, Texts. I mean, I've reported 8 million texts to T-Mobile that are coming in spam and nothing ever seems to happen. I don't know. I think the cynical part of me thinks that the carriers have just added that report as spam feature just to keep us quiet. I don't think it actually does anything. I don't know. It is really annoying. I agree, and I don't have an answer for it. All righty. Next up, another one from Paul. Hey, Paul. Oh, this is a good question. Okay, from Paul. I just had a text come in, and I thought, how funny would that be if it was a spam text? All right. Paul says, I don't know how to, the client says, I don't know how to create a link when I'm in WordPress editing copy. Can you please tell me? Granted, could be an easy thing to explain. Links are styled via CSS classes due to standards. And the location of the link color? Really? Why? But anyway, and this is just one example. Another one, I tried to revising Carrie's name, but I couldn't find it. I'm not sure how that carousel works, blah, blah, blah. How do you handle the teach me requests? There's our question. So it's a great question, Paul. And the answer kind of falls back to your service level agreements on your care plans. So Sue says, book a training call. And that's great until like there are some clients you can tell something 100 times and they don't stay told, right? It's the clients that keep asking. And so number one, there's a bunch of different practical answers before I start this to like how to answer it. And I'm saying, yeah, do a call, record a video, all of that is good. However, let's start at the ground level with the foundation of what is your service level agreement with these clients? So I'll answer it from my agency perspective. So the every client gets 2 fast tasks every month. Fast tasks being something that takes us 15 minutes or less to do. In and out of the ticket, done. If it takes longer than that, it's billable. That's our service level agreement. So if a client says, I need help doing this, what we would typically do is we'd record a video for them. Generally, that's going to take less than 15 minutes. That is a fast task, and that counts against their service level, right? Now, one thing that we also do is we have on all of our news sites, probably in the last 4 or 5 years now, we have a wonderful plugin we use called WP Help. And I've talked about this when we did the base or the starter site. WP Help. Why is it not showing up? You know, they really have to do something about the search here in the plugin library. Come on, y'all. It's called WP Help by Triple J. Come on, y'all. See how easy that is to find? And my goodness, it's only showing up on the .com version. This is so annoying. Thank you, Terry. I could have just typed the URL by this time. Okay, so I'm going to copy this and paste it here, and maybe that will find it. So look at this. There it is right there. Okay, so let's install. This is a fantastic little plugin that lets you add inline documentation for your clients. Shanta, yes, it's John James Jacoby. Oh, that's why. I was thinking it's Mark Jackwith and not Triple J. That's why. Okay, I was fussing about something that was ultimately my issue. But anyway, this would let you create block editor posts. How to find, was it Carrie's name? And then video goes here. You can just drop it in. This is the block editor. Whatever you do in the block editor, you can do here. And then what this does is it creates a nice little help right here. So they can just go right there, and it's viewable in the dashboard only. Doesn't go out to the front of the site. It's only internal. And so we just create a video library just like this for clients. And it works really, really well for most of these small little tasks. Now, also, backing up, when we do a training at launch with a client on the tasks they need, that training call is recorded and we put it in one of these WP help posts. Matter of fact, we'll even go through if there are particular, if we've built something special, like here's a special custom post type and here's how it works, we'll record a little snippet of video for that as part of the pre-launch process and stick it in there. So that there's, in many cases, especially for a customized site, there'll be, half a dozen little help videos in there just to get started. Now, the videos, so Sue's asking, can you export them? This is just a post, right? And so you can add the video from whatever source you want. So Alvin's asking, where is it hosted? Depends on how you do that for your clients. It could be Vimeo, it could be private YouTube, it could be Loom video, whatever. Just as long as it has a way to be exported and dropped in a typical WordPress post, it'll work here. Does that make sense? Paul's asking about video user manuals. I'm not using those anymore. We handle that differently now. Yeah, so it's the WP Help doesn't do the recording. You just use your recording tool to create your recording. And then WP Help is basically an internal post system that only shows up in the admin area. All right, so does that make sense? Now, for the requests that, okay, we need, for example, we bundle in typically an hour of training with up to 3 people from the client. That's just normal in our proposals. Let's say a year from now, we have new people and want to do a new training. Well, there's the video. Now we want to do it live. Okay, that's billable. It falls outside your service level. It's not a fast task. Okie dokie. Does that help, Paul? All right. Next up is Karen. Hey, Karen. This is one coming out of the security live stream from Tuesday where we talked about raising prices. Karen, are you here? Yeah. Okay. So monthly care plan price increases. Karen says, I use PayPal subscriptions, so it's automatically paid every month. A colleague gave me that tip years ago. I find it hard to raise prices because I have to send them a new link. Exactly, which is why you should not use PayPal for your monthly website subscriptions. Because you're locked in. Whatever you're using for subscriptions ought to be something that you can go in and change the price without having to get the client to sign off on a whole new subscription. It's just more friction. So how do we handle this? I'm not a fan of PayPal for many reasons. In this particular case, it's because it's a lot of friction to raise prices. So, yes, you don't want to invoice clients every month. That's awful. So as many people are mentioning in the chat, I use Stripe for this. And you have a customer in Stripe. And by the way, you can use Stripe through a lot of different interfaces. I've never found a compelling business reason to leave the dashboard. So we just do everything in the regular Stripe dashboard. A customer is there. You can see their subscriptions. You can see their payment method. And so having it set up that way it does a few things for you. Number one, when you get ready to raise your prices, you can cancel the current subscription. Make sure that you say end it at the end of the current period. Otherwise, it'll add a credit back to that person's account. That's a mess. Don't do that. But then you just add a new subscription for the new price. And you can inform your clients by email that on such and such a date, it's going to get raised, and so forth. So it makes it really, really easy, particularly because with Stripe, you can create a subscription product at a new price, and you just add that new subscription product to each of your customers. Now, you do have to do it one at a time, but I kind of want to do that to make sure that they're done correctly. The other thing that billing that way helps you do, because you have that payment method on file and it's at Stripe, so you're not responsible for the credit card. You don't have to do PCI compliance and all that stuff. Stripe handles the payment method. If you have, for example, a task that exceeds your service level, like it's bigger than a fast task and it's a couple of $100s, you don't have to send an invoice. Like I hate sending micro invoices because I'll just push it off. But at the end of the task, when it's done, you can just go right into Stripe and charge the card and you get money in your account like magic. So that's why I moved to Stripe years ago and it just works. So does that make sense for you, Karen? Did we hit all the issues here? Big picture, get away from PayPal, go to Stripe. The world gets better. And it's the same price as PayPal. 2.9% plus 30 cents. Okie dokie. Next up is Ben. Hey, Mr. Ben. Oh, yeah. Okay. Web design trend. I'm seeing a growing number of sites like the new Uncanny Owl site where the design has an element of animation. Yes. So let's go take a look at that. For some reason, I just looked at the site the other day too. I think somebody was sharing it on Facebook. So did you see that the simple animation that kind of floats in? Yeah, that's kind of cool. And as you scroll down the page, you'll see little things popping in. Yeah, okay, little animations of the different elements. Okay, so this sort of animation has been around a while. It's really not new. It used to be way overdone. And so for me, this is too much animation on a page when all these elements are coming in different ways and so forth. It can also cause accessibility issues. And so generally speaking, don't do animation unless you have a way for people to, like in their browser settings, prefer no animation, or I forget what that's called. There's a setting. Yeah, so don't do that. Now, what is a trend or what are called micro interactions? And you can Google it, just Google micro interactions. And like, here's the thing. They spend all this time animating these elements on the page, which, I mean, I kind of get it. Like it, as you scroll down, something whoop, pops in and it makes you want to scroll a little further. And that's kind of the logic behind that. But the miss is a simple rollover on that button. Like that button ought to go, have a little micro interaction where it nicely expands or something happens, or when you roll over the logo, something happens. So, simple micro interactions are the better trend than these standard floating in blocks and so forth. All right. Is that good, Ben? I'm not a fan of all the blocks coming in every direction. We built some sites like that, and they're some of my least favorites. But that's just me. You do, though, like big picture, you do have to be concerned about accessibility issues with animations. And there was something in your question about will it slow down your site? No, not after CSS3. It used to slow down a site with CSS2 because you couldn't really, it didn't support animations. But for years now, animations are crazy. It's just a couple of lines of CSS and you can animate something. Okay, Paul is next. Just a comment here. I was today years old when I learned about the options page on WordPress. Okay. Oh, yeah. So this is, I remember running across this a while ago. These are all the options that are stored in your database in the WordPress options table. So domain slash option at wp-admin options.php is a hidden admin URL that lets you see the values of all those things. And there's also, just for what it's worth, there's a great plugin that Yoast and his team put together. You just search, I hope now, AAA Option Optimizer. This is a great little plugin that will help you clean out unused options. And this is particularly useful for older WordPress sites that you just built on and built on and built on. It is really, really good. So this will tell you here are auto-loaded options that are not in use, and you can sort by size. So this one's pretty new. Oh, there we go. Yes, there's some stellar garbage. There's some junk here. I mean, we are loading. Look at this. Half a meg of memory is being loaded for those values out of the options table. So this is a pretty cool plugin. It will let you clean your database. You are touching the database, so you want to make sure you have a backup. But yeah, this is a neat URL. It's just admin and add/options.php. Good stuff. Thanks for bringing that up, Paul. I'd forgotten about this. It'd been a long time since I had looked at that. All righty, next up is Sue. Hey, Sue. Oh my. Okay. Sue says Solid WP recently updated the sync plugin and removed content duplication. Yeah, like I don't know why they added that years ago. If you had the old Solid Central or Solid or iTheme Sync and Solid Central, it just added inexplicably a duplicate content link under a pages and posts. That doesn't seem like it should go with anything Solid Sync Central, any of that. Anyway, so they removed it. Okay. I'm using ASE. For those of you that aren't aware, that's the admin site enhancements plugin. It's really cool on most sites. And all of a sudden, duplicating a page has also disappeared. Really? Any idea why what Solid did is messing with that tool? ASE fails to duplicate posts if site is heavily cached. What does that mean? What does heavily cached mean? So the developer is pretty smart for ASE, and I can't imagine the typical WordPress caching plugins would be what he's talking about. You're asking me, I don't know what he means by heavily cached. That would be something I'd want to look into. I don't think I've got, I don't have ASE on here to put on to try. I don't think it would have anything to do with your site cache. Oh, ASE says maybe a plugin conflict. Oh, Sue. So have you tried deactivating all your plugins and switching to a default theme? Does that help? Don't we all love to hear that? I mean, honestly, though, probably it does solve problems, which is why support tells us to do that. But I also get annoyed when I'm told to do that. I have no idea, Sue. That is really weird. I can't even think of what might. I can't even think of what might cause this. Paul says to reboot your computer. Sue, I mean, this is akin to have you turned it off and turned it back on again? But have you toggled off the duplicate function in ASE and then toggled it back on? Okay. Then I have no idea. I think it is available in the free version. We'll take a quick peek. Yeah, there are other duplicate posts plugins, but like the whole reason we like admin and site enhancements is that it content duplication. All right. So and save changes. I mean, you save changes, right, Sue? Surely you did. And oh, hell, look, this. Did you enable it on the post types? I bet that's what you didn't do. So it's not going to show up. Oh, post types? Are you sure? So I'm using the pro version. I guess it still had my license cached. Okay, so the free version may not give you the ability to do that. I don't know. But interesting. Yeah, I mean, it does work. So what this tells you is it's something site specific. And I'm not quite sure why that would happen. It stopped right after the sync update. I don't know. That is interesting, Sue. That's going to be a deep plugin troubleshooting issue you'll have to work through with the dev. I do not have a quick answer or something that I would just know right away to tell you. I'm sorry. I can't imagine Solid would have blocked that function site wide. Have you tried disabling Solid Central, and does it work? If it does work, well, yeah, that's the disable Solid Central, and if it works, then you know it's for whatever reason causing a problem. So weird. All righty, moving right along here to Jamie. Hey, Jamie. Creating custom post types and deleting deleted content from the database. I was watching a video by a really great dev who was training his colleague on creating custom post types. He was using Jet Engine, and I like MetaBox Lite or ACF Pro. The dev recommended to tick off in Jet Engine to delete from database in case you delete a custom post type or taxonomy, blah, blah, blah. Because he said deleting removes them from the backend, but leaves them in the database. I asked Mr. Grok, which is a risk. It said not to. It takes up very little space. Okay. Grok, yeah. Grok often lacks nuance in its replies. Whatever. It depends on how big the site is and how many posts are in the database and whatever. So if you, just for example, if you delete a custom post type, all that stuff is still in your database. All the custom, everything. When you delete a taxonomy term or a post type or custom fields, that sort of thing, what you're deleting in those plugins, Metabox, ACF, Jet Engine, is the reference to those things. But the content still exists in your database. So if you delete a custom post type and then you add it back with the exact same slug, all your posts are still going to be there. So if you're apparently Jet Engine has the setting to delete also from the database, which is great. Yeah. So I don't use Jet Engine, never have played with it. I don't know. Metabox may have an option like that. But if we're actually going to, first of all, I could probably count on one hand the number of times we've deleted a post type or deleted something like that, right? Or a taxonomy. But if we do, we delete all the posts in that and then trash them so that they're actually gone. Then we remove the term in the thing that created it, just as a matter of process. But that's kind of cool in Jet Engine. I've never looked for that feature in the other custom post type providers. All righty. Next up is Billy. Hey, Billy. All right. Billy says, I'm revamping a site with lots of video, various sources such as YouTube, videos, some MP4s. Like uploaded to the media library MP4s. Yeah. Okay. So I realized that WordPress hosting should not be serving video. So I've arranged with the client for a Vimeo account for the MP4s. Great. I'm wondering if there is any advantage to using a static image for the video play that links to the YouTube or Vimeo player, or should I embed those videos with the appropriate blocks? Okay. Great question. So depending on what blocks you use, and I think Cadence blocks do this, but if you use a static image as like the placeholder or thumbnail image, it doesn't actually load the video until you press the play button. Now that has a number of advantages, most of which are related to performance, because if you have a bunch of videos on a page and they're just Vimeo embeds, when somebody loads that page, it's going to pull all that data from Vimeo, the starting points and whatever, and it's going to be a slower page than if you had a thumbnail image that it just loads the thumbnails real quick, and then they can click and it'll, launch the video in a light box or whatever. That's the way I always do it, and that's the way I recommend it. So does that make sense, Billy? Page speed is an issue, and also you're loading a ton of tracking cookies probably from Vimeo and YouTube with those embeds anyway. So just a ton of stuff starts hitting the user for videos that are actually embedded right there on the page rather than thumbnailed and launched on interaction. It's just better to do it that way. Okay. Next up is Shanta. Hey, Shanta. Shanta says, we currently run our community for paid pro members on Circle while our courses are on Thinkific. We've considered moving the community to Thinkific as well, but we're not thrilled with the product. We use Slack every day internally on a paid plan and have a channel that we were using just for our flight reviewers. Okay. We're considering bringing the reviewers, trainers, learners currently on Circle if they pay, along with some other pilots in the community, not currently in any organized community, into a single Slack team to run our community. Okay, I think I followed that. We are going to run this as a free team, and we're aware of the 90-day limitation. Total, I would guess there are 200 people. We feel like it's slimming down the tools to use, reducing costs, bringing the community together that's currently disconnected. Anything that we should be aware of? Any way to limit the entry of new members only to those that are permitted? Yes. Okay. So free Slack is free Slack. You're at the whim of whatever Slack wants to do to change or restrict the free product, right? Used to be that it wasn't limited to 90 days. It just went on forever. And finally Slack said, let's turn it down to 90 days and whatever. Well, anything you should be aware of, I don't know. Slack is pretty ubiquitous. Most people are going to know or figure out how to use that pretty quickly. Limiting entry of new members to only those that are permitted. There is a link that you can generate, a join link, but you can put that behind some sort of a form or something that you give that out. But once somebody has the link, they can share it with anybody they want to. And there's not really a way to stop that. The only other way I am aware of is if you are entering those manually. And by manually, that could also mean like a Zapier flow or something like that, where users are created one at a time based on something happening. So there's some other feedback in the chat. Why not do everything on Circle? I think you said you didn't like that product. I mean, it might be nice to have everybody in the same thing. And as far as somebody mentioned also Fluent Community is really cool. It can be a hosting nightmare if you have a bunch of users. The database just gets gigantic. That's true with anything like Fluent Community or any of the others like that. All right, so there's some suggestions. Good luck with that, Shanta. Dave is next. I'm going to try to work through the few remaining questions here in our time. Dave, a current client has recommended me to another website owner. Great. They have an existing WordPress site using the same page builder I use on sites I manage. Great. It's been a long time since I had a potential new client with an existing site. I've used the Chrome extensions Wappalizer to get some info about this new site. Is there something better than Wappalizer? Yes, an admin login to the new site. Clearly, I would imagine that you haven't gotten that yet. But honestly, am I dreaming, or did you cover things to watch out for, questions to ask? I've covered that years ago. But Dave, what I'll typically do, let me just start this way. If we have the potential of onboarding a site we did not design, this is the way we handle it. Number one, we always do a quick audit, and we have a checklist for that. Just things to look for. Basically, a list of all the stupid things we've seen other developers do over the years. And particularly since it's a page builder that that you're familiar with. The right way, hopefully, to do things. So we have just a quick list of things that we look for. And from that, we will create a short, this doesn't take forever. And that's the thing. You don't want to invest hours in this. But we're likely for almost every site that comes in, there's going to be some remediation necessary. And that's a billable cost to bring the site up to a place where we can look that client in the eye and say, we can take responsibility for managing the site from here. So we're going to do our audit, make a list, do some remediation, and then we'll take over. Can I share the checklist? No, that is an internal piece of IP. That's not something I can really share because there is some private stuff there. Sorry. Paul says he charges for the initial audit. Yeah. So does that helpful, Dave? You really need admin access as part of the first conversation. Don't guess of what's behind that site because, boy, like we took on a site. I don't know. It's been about a year ago now, and I was thrilled because it was using the same builder and theme that we use. I'm like, how hard could it be? We learned how hard it could be because, we use Beaver Builders in agency and have forever. And I really don't know how a developer managed to build a site in Beaver Builder this dysfunctional. Like, it was mystifying. So just because it's using your builder doesn't mean it's going to be a cinch. So make sure you click around a little bit. No, it wasn't a starter template. I promise you, it was a custom design. And I mean, there was so much absolute positioning on this site. It made my head hurt. Oh my gosh. It was just, anyway. So just because it's in your builder, Dave, don't take it for granted it's going to be an easy manage because people do some weird things. All right, there's 3 more questions, and we'll cut it off after Bonnie's question. Next up is Davude. Oh, and this is an update. Yes, so this was a cigar website that we talked about several weeks ago. The client cigar website, which I asked for help with. So this was the one, Davude, am I remembering right? Like you couldn't get access from the previous developer, and there were 2 sites, and it was just a mess. I think I'm remembering this right. Okay. So I began getting 502, 503 errors on 2 other sites hosted on the same VPS, including another e-commerce site. The errors were caused by the same issues. Okay. Once we regained access to the Namecheap account, we discovered the cigar site problems were due to a mix of factors, including a damaged backup. Okay, you repaired the backup. We were still seeing 50203 errors. And after updating the content, running available updates the site through a fatal error. Of course it did. Restored the database before the content updates, re-added the content. Oh, Davude, this sounds like a nightmare. You changed an Elementor setting, backed up, fatal error did not return, and now you're implementing Cloudflare. Hoorah! Good night. What a nightmare. Like, this is definitely, you should smoke a cigar after you're done with this one. Holy cow. What a mess. Congratulations. I think we all need to give Davude some applause there in the chat for getting through that one. My goodness, what a slog. That was a mess. Wow. Thank you for that update, Davude. Okay, Dave. Any way to try Voice Dash without first buying it? I really like WhisperFlow, currently using the free version. So the lifetime license would be nice. Am I going to be disappointed from WhisperFlow? Okay. So AppSumo gives you a 60-day, no questions asked, money back guarantee. So there's not a free way to try it, but there's a basically free way to try it, right? So you got to buy it and then you can refund it. You don't even have to interact with a person in their refund process. That's one thing AppSumo does really well. Also because I think they have a lot of experience handling refunded products, but that's just me. I've been pretty satisfied with it. The main, it's maybe 95% as good as WhisperFlow at the actual dictation. So it's the kind of thing where it's not a big, like it's good enough for me. It's good enough. And occasionally, and I imagine it's like a server load issue, it takes a few seconds for the text to appear. That's been my experience. But I've also had that happen with WhisperFlow. So, I think it's worth, if you're using Whisperflow, I would say it's worth trying because this is one of those lifetime deals that just might be worth the money. I got it and I'm using it. I may refund it in a month. Who knows? I have 60 days, just like everybody. So we'll see. Okie dokie. Bonnie, final question of the day. If Grok misses nuance, what's your top choice for AI coding? Hands down, zero question about it. It is 100% Claude, period. Like, no further discussion. Claude is so much better. So much better. It's just really, really good. Particularly if, okay. So paid Claude, free Claude, always pay for your AI tool, period. You get so much better output from the paid versions of these products than you do the free versions. Claude is hands down better. Now, and this is particularly since you can now in the Claude desktop app toggle over to Claude Cowork and Claude Code from within the desktop app. It is immensely powerful. I can't even, like, there's some stuff I'm tinkering with right now that I'm not even ready to talk about yet. That is, I mean, I'll just tell you, I fell into a rabbit hole on Saturday accidentally with this, and I came up for air 5 hours later. And the number of times I sat with my mouth open staring at my screen, there were many. Okay. And like the framework I've started to build for using Claude is like, I mean, I'm only a few days into it, so it may not work at all, but it could be game changing, like literally blow me away, game changing. So yeah, Claude, hands down. My biggest hesitation with switching over to Claude is I have so much context in ChatGPT because of years using it. It knows so much about me and how I like to do things, but I've figured out how to start exporting some of that over to Claude. We might do a live stream on that. We had an agency success planning meeting on Tuesday where we talked about some of this. We might do a live stream on that. We'll see if there's any interest. It's not like you can export a file, like import everything over at once, but there's some ways I have experimented with successfully, actually getting that information out of ChatGPT and into Claude in a way that it understands. So, all right, y'all, this has been fun. We're a few minutes over, but we've had some good Q&A time. Thank you again, Chad, for being with us today. Glad you got to pop in, folks. If you want to learn more about rocket.net, Chad is your guy, chad.beatty at rocket.net, and he'll set up a demo and just walk you through the dashboard. We run a couple sites on rocket.net and really like it. All right, everybody, we will see you back here next Thursday for office hours here on hosting.com's Agency Success, where we go further together.